throughout that
period?
Well, one of the things that I have witnessed, I guess, and really lived through is in talking about the commitment to diversity. When I first came on board, the executive assistant to President Malloy was Roland Smith, and so he chaired the Cultural Diversity Committee, and so we had representatives throughout the campus on that committee. I did a lot of dialogue about how to increase the number of underrepresented students coming to campus as undergraduates, but also into the graduate school. So they created an exchange program, so the first semester students from either Clark Atlanta, Xavier, St. Mary's or St. Ed's, in Notre Dame, those four schools would come here during the summer. They would receive a stipend. Well, first semester, receive a stipend, and then they would come in the fall, and then in the spring, our students would go to one of their campuses and study. That was a good program, although after Roland left and went to Rice, the person who took over facilitating the diversity committee was kind of disconcerted because we weren't getting more of those students who did the research here during the school semester coming back for graduate school. So she looked at revamping it, where it became just a summer program. They were still concerned because students were enrolling for graduate school, although we did have few, but not as many as they would like to see. So they ended up abolishing the program versus taking a look to see what is happening that these students who were coming in here and having that experience, why were they indeed choosing Notre Dame for graduate school? That's a question I still pose to them when they said it didn't work, and I think they didn't go far enough to see why it wasn't working. And I think it has a lot to do with faculty being matched with these students, and then the students were doing research on their own. And that's a conversation I had with some of our Notre Dame students who were working with faculty. And they were like, the faculty wasn't even here the whole semester. They were here the summer, they were here when I got started, told me what to do, then they were gone all summer, and then they came back in the late summer to hear my presentation. So no interaction, everything was via email. So how do you build a relationship? So if a student is thinking about coming to an institution for graduate school and you're having that kind of interaction, you're thinking, well, if I'm here as a graduate student, that faculty member is never going to be there. But that's just my perception. Like I said, they never did further investigation on it. Another change that I have seen during this time period is definitely the increase of Latino students, which is not a surprise because of the religious connection. So we have a significant, because when I first came, the largest ethnic group were African American students. But Latinos have surpassed, as well as Asian Pacific Islander students have surpassed. In fact, those are the largest two groups. This past year, this current year, we've had the largest influx, I guess I should say, I don't know, I want to say influx, if that would be the right terminology, but we've had the largest class of Native American students. We had 22, which is almost half of the Native American population here on campus. So admissions is doing a really good job in addressing and recruiting students from various Native backgrounds. And I think that's a good thing. It's still a long way to go because when you look at the overall numbers we only have, and that's what's pulling off, 57 total undergraduates. I'm looking down the right column. It might be a little bit, when we look at the graduate students, it takes it a little bit higher. But like I said, the numbers could be better. But you have to look at what is happening here that attracts students. And one of the detractors, I'm sure, is South Bend, Indiana. When if you're African American and you're looking at possible schools to go to, and even if you want to stay with the Catholic institution, Georgetown is a smack dab in the middle of Washington, D.C. Right. So that gives you a lot to do when you're not in the classroom. As well as Latino students, we do have what is here, which I think has been a big draw, probably really has helped our numbers, is the Institute for Latino Studies, which I won't say stole from University of Texas in El Paso, but we did some strong wooing. And they came and relocated here. And so some of the Latino scholars that have also come with that institute, I think, has been key in drawing Latino students.